Hello, students, and welcome to the class. So, today is a session on reading comprehension. Before we get into it, let me introduce myself. I am Shriti Sharma. I've done my MBA in Finance, my MA in English. I write CAT every year. I score a great percentile in the verbal section and sometimes decently in DILR as well. I've been the verbal head in various institutes pertaining to CAT and other management entrance test coaching, and I have more than 12 years of experience of teaching in this particular field. Now, if you have not already done, then please install the Unacademy Learning app. Install कीजिए app को, and you can use my code. My code is Sharmaji. Very easy to remember, and unlock the free special classes and first start learning from there. All right, you can definitely make use of Ask a Doubt feature on Unacademy Learning app, where you take a picture of your doubts, you post it, and we post the solutions. All right, these are the subscription plans, and if you're thinking of going for proper structured coaching, then these are the plans for you. You can go for Plus subscription or you can go for Iconic. Through Plus, you get live classes, weekly tests, study material, unlimited access, structured courses. And in Iconic, you get everything that comes with Plus. And along with that, you also get study planners, study material, experts guidance, test analysis, personal guidance. We'll delve into it a bit later. So, reading comprehension. Now, in reading comprehension, you get various different types of questions. And depending on the type of question that you get, you have to make a decision whether you should first focus on the question or should you first focus on the passage. Now, this is a very common question rather that students ask whether they should first read the passage or the questions. So look at the types of questions that come in RC and then take a call. जैसे कि फर्स्ट टाइप इज मेन आइडिया. अब मेन आइडिया टाइप का अगर कोई क्वेश्चन आया है तो डेफिनेटली हमें पहले क्वेश्चन देखना ज़रूरी है. क्यों? बिकॉज इफ़ यू आर डन रीडिंग द एंटायर पैसेज, पूरा पैसेज आपने पढ़ लिया, एंड देन यू मूव ऑन टू द क्वेश्चंस एंड यू सी, ओ द फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज ऑन मेन आइडिया और प्राइमरी पर्पस or something similar to that, like what could be a probable title for the passage, what general question basically is what I'm saying. I'll tell you what are different main idea types of questions. ऐसा कोई question है and you have read the passage. Now again you cannot read the passage, right? You don't have the time to read it twice in the exam. तो बेहतर यही है कि पहले क्वेश्चन स्किम कर लें ताकि अगर कोई मेन आइडिया क्वेश्चन है तो मेन आइडिया टाइप का क्वेश्चन है तो you keep that in mind during your first read of the passage. Main idea refers to the primary purpose of the author behind writing the passage. It is difficult to answer unless you have understood the essence of the author's intention, और वो समझने के लिए of course पूरा passage पढ़ना important है. Title questions also fall under this category as title of the passage means the main idea in a concise form. यानी कि अगर कभी कभी आता है what could be a probable title of the passage, तो वो होता क्या है टाइटल, ये आप नहीं देखते हो ओ कौन सा टाइटल विटी है या कौन सा टाइटल क्रिएटिव है या कौन सा टाइटल इंटरेस्टिंग टू रीड है. While solving RC आपको ये नहीं देखना होता है. Witty, interesting to read, eye-catching title ये important होता है if you're really writing a book of your own. Not in these cases. In these cases, the title should actually capture the essence of the passage. So it requires the same methodology needed for main idea questions. तो ऐसा कोई भी क्वेश्चन अगर रहता है तो हमको पूरा मतलब while we start reading the passage for the first time, we have to do some mind mapping. Mind mapping होता है कि thought flow भी कहते हैं उसको, कि हर चंक में क्या आइडिया चल रहा है उसका हमको ध्यान रखना होता है. And if you feel that you cannot remember that much, then you do get those rough sheets on which you can write. पूरा डिटेल में नहीं लिखना है. यू हैव टू राइट इट इन द मोस्ट लाइक हर चंक का मेन आइडिया आपको 1 या 2 वर्ड्स में लिखना है. You combine all of that and you get the central idea of the entire passage. All right, common question stems for these types of questions are: what's the main idea of the passage? What is the primary purpose of the passage? The author is primarily concerned with, or the thematic highlight, the theme of the passage, or the best line to capture the content of the passage. If you remember, हमने कल ये किया था ना, बेस्ट लाइन टू कैप्चर द कंटेंट, और व्हाट इज अ सूटेबल टाइटल फॉर द पैसेज. ये सारे क्वेश्चंस में अप्रोच सेम है. दे आर बेसिकली आस्किंग यू व्हाट्स द सेंट्रल आइडिया. तो डेफिनेटली इन दीज टाइप्स ऑफ क्वेश्चंस इट्स बेटर टू फर्स्ट रीड द क्वेश्चन स्टेम एंड देन द पैसेज. ऑफ कोर्स सेंट्रल आइडिया आप जब फिगर आउट करते हो तो सेंट्रल आइडिया बेस्ड क्वेश्चंस, तो यू हैव टू सी द आइडिया रनिंग थ्रू द पैसेज, द प्रीडोमिनेंट आइडिया. उसके अलावा आप एलिमिनेट करो Predominant idea तो आपको ढूंढना है, and then what can you eliminate? You can eliminate options that are too broad. You can eliminate options that are too narrow. Narrow options are a major trap when these types of questions are given to you. Narrow options मतलब कोई एक option होगा which should be a true statement as per the passage, but it would just be one small idea from the passage. It won't capture the essence or the highlight of the passage. वो narrow options में आता है. ठीक है, तो वो सब एलिमिनेट करना है. एंड व्हेन वी प्रैक्टिस हम यही करते हैं ना कि अरे ये बहुत नैरो है, ये तो बस एक पैरा में एक जगह पे दिया है करेक्ट है. मे बी इफ द क्वेश्चन वाज ऑन विच स्टेटमेंट इज ट्रू तो ये करेक्ट होता दैट ऑप्शन, बट इज इट द हाईलाइट ऑफ द पैसेज, इट इज द आइडिया रनिंग थ्रू द पैसेज? नो. तो एलिमिनेशन डेफिनेटली हेल्प्स. ओके, फिर होते हैं स्पेसिफिक आइडिया क्वेश्चंस. These questions are specific information mentioned or stated in specific portions of the passage. ठीक है? These are normally the easiest questions to answer. The answers are normally mentioned explicitly within the passage. However, you have to watch out for the traps and for tricky options. Common question stems for these types of questions are: the author mentions which of the following is true according to the passage. अब एक common question that students ask us is, when I come across a question, should I revisit the passage? एक बार passage पढ़ लिया तो क्या question देखने के बाद फिर से passage पढ़ें? पूरा मत पढ़ो, डेफिनेटली नॉट. मेन आइडिया के लिए फिर से मत देखो पैसेज, इसीलिए पहले आपने क्वेश्चंस देख लिया था. पर हाँ, स्पेसिफिक आइडिया क्वेश्चंस जब आते हैं एंड यू नो वेयर द आंसर्स कमिंग फ्रॉम, इस टाइप के क्वेश्चंस के लिए यू शुड रीविजिट दैट पोर्शन ऑफ द पैसेज फ्रॉम वेयर द आंसर इज कमिंग. इसीलिए यू नो व्हेन यू फर्स्ट टेक अ लुक एट द क्वेश्चंस नो बिफोर रीडिंग द पैसेज, मेन आइडिया पता है तो सही है, मतलब कि हाँ देयर इज अ मेन आइडिया क्वेश्चन. स्पेसिफिक आइडिया क्वेश्चंस के आपको कीवर्ड्स लिख लेने चाहिए रफ पेपर में. गंदे से लिखो, मिनिमम वर्ड्स में लिखो, पर लिख लो ताकि वो जब पार्ट आए पैसेज में यू कैन फोकस बेटर देयर, और एटलीस्ट यू नो कि हाँ ये दिस कम्स इन द सेकंड पैरा सेकंड चंक. तो ये क्वेश्चन जब करो तो यू नो यू हैव टू विजिट द सेकंड पैरा सेकंड चंक. ठीक है, तो ये मैं इन क्वेश्चंस का आंसर दे रही हूँ जो आप पूछते हैं कि पहले पैसेज पढ़ें या क्वेश्चंस पढ़ें, क्वेश्चन जब आए तो रिविजिट करें या नहीं. तो ऑल दैट डिपेंड्स ऑन द टाइप्स ऑफ क्वेश्चंस एंड दैट्स व्हाई वी आर डिस्कसिंग द टाइप्स. ऑलराइट. Or which of the following is true according to the passage can get difficult because, या फिर what can get difficult is all of the following are true except, यानी कि 4 ऑप्शन में 3 ऑप्शन ट्रू होगा, तो वो अलग अलग portions of the passage में ढूंढना पड़ता है and that can get time taking, that can kind of waste your time. So when you are doing a passage and there's a true false type कि all of the following are true except, where you know 3 of them are true and you might have to look for them in different parts of the passage. So let that be the last question you attempt in that particular passage. All right. Okay. Now approach for these of course is locate where the answer is mentioned. मैंने approach आपसे discuss कर लिया. Came and find the portion from which the question has been asked. Don't hesitate to regress, यानी कि go back, revisit the passage. This will ensure accuracy. तो ऐसे इस type के questions में you have to regress, you have to revisit the passage once. एक बार पढ़ लिया फिर से उस portion को revisit करें. Alright, the next one, implied idea questions. These are the kind of questions where the answers are not explicitly stated, they're not directly stated, they're hinted or implied. And you mostly get implied idea questions, right? In RC, CAT RC. और implied idea questions के लिए हम इतना ज़्यादा आपको critical reasoning पढ़ाते हैं. Because if you're good at CR, no, critical reasoning, तो इस type के questions answer, your accuracy improves. The implied idea questions के लिए, apart from practicing reading comprehension, you also have to focus on critical reasoning and you have to focus and understand option elimination. You need to understand the traps, you need to understand the flaws. तो ये टॉपिक्स अब मैं ये जो वर्ड्स बोली हूँ ये आपको नोट करना चाहिए कि ठीक है, इन्फरेंस, बहुत स्टूडेंट्स बोलते हैं कि हमको इन्फरेंस में प्रॉब्लम होता है, वहाँ हमारी एक्यूरेसी नहीं है. तो उसका सोल्यूशन क्या है? एक तो ऑफकोर्स ये सब लोग आपको कहते हैं प्रैक्टिस करो, उसके अलावा क्या? फोकस ऑन CR, क्रिटिकल रीजनिंग इज द टॉपिक यू हैव टू फोकस ऑन. ऑफकोर्स दूसरे बहुत सारे एग्जाम्स में यू गेट सेपरेट क्वेश्चंस ऑफ CR. CAT में CR is included in RC, so that's one thing you have to focus on. Apart from that, like I said, traps, flaws, ये चीज़ें ये लिख लो, traps, flaws. अच्छा, ये टॉपिक्स जब आएंगे तो हमको अच्छे से ध्यान देना है. This is my solution to the problem that I'm not able to solve inference-based questions accurately. All right. Okay, implied. These are the kind of questions where the answers are not explicitly stated in the passage, they are hinted or they are implied though. This demands a high level of comprehension or understanding. An example of this comprehension means understanding. An example of this question could be found in a passage where an author points out various critiques of the US's foreign policy, especially its role in Iraq. The anti-US stance here is, though the anti-US stance here is not explicitly stated, it is implied. क्योंकि हर जगह क्रिटिसाइज किया है यूएस के पॉलिसीज को, तो ये anti-US stance can be implied, though it's not explicitly stated that they are anti-US. Cat normally loves asking such questions. Common question stems for these types are, it can be inferred that the author believes, the author uses XYZ, a particular line or a phrase to imply that which of the following can be inferred or cannot be inferred. In this case, the emphasis तो CR पढ़ना, traps समझना, flaws समझना, ये तीन चीजें important हैं to be able to ace these types of questions. Approach, the emphasis is on testing your ability to read between the lines, to infer the author's purpose in stating something. Use the elimination method to ensure accuracy. Make sure that the inference matches the author's tone in the passage, right? Tone sarcastic है और हमने serious inference निकाल दिया तो problem हो जाएगा. Now then there's vocab based questions. That is contextual meaning questions. In these questions, the meaning of a given word or a phrase or a sentence is asked. These are easy to answer if you have good command over vocabulary or now answering another question of yours. That is why we study vocab so much. बहुत स्टूडेंट्स पूछते हैं कि ठीक है दूसरे ओमेट्स में तो आता है vocab, कैट में अलग से नहीं आ रहा है इतने सालों से, फिर भी इतना vocab क्यों पढ़ रहे हैं? क्योंकि हमको हर तरह का क्वेश्चन आंसर करना है. हम लोग केवल आपको रीडिंग कॉम्प्रिहेंशन प्रैक्टिस कराते रहेंगे तो काम नहीं बनेगा. कितना vocab कर लेंगे हम आरसी के थ्रू? इसलिए हम अलग से vocab पे फोकस करते हैं. और वर्ड्स इतने सारे हैं, देयर आर सो मेनी वर्ड्स एंड हु नोज कि विच वर्ड इज गोइंग टू बी इम्पोर्टेंट. ऑफ कोर्स हम इतना vocab पे फोकस करते हैं तो इट्स गोइंग टू हेल्प यू आउट इन दूसरे एग्जाम्स एज वेल. दूसरे एग्जाम्स में आपको डायरेक्ट दिखता है ना, अरे सिनोनिम्स आ रहा है, अरे एंटोनिम्स आ रहा है. कैट में भी सब छुपा हुआ है. यू हैव टू हैव अ स्ट्रॉन्ग vocabulary. So go back, watch all those vocab videos which we have done, which we are doing, है ना, all the live classes of vocab as well. Important है. You don't think कि अरे contextual meaning है तो नहीं भी word का meaning पता है हो जाएगा. नहीं, क्वेश्चन सेटर्स और 4 गुना हमसे ज़्यादा स्मार्ट होते हैं. कंटेक्चुअल मीनिंग में भी ना 3 वर्ड्स ऐसे डाल देंगे जो कंटेक्चुअली वहाँ पे फिट होगा, और फिर योर नॉलेज ऑफ द डिक्शनरी मीनिंग बिकम्स इम्पॉर्टेंट देयर. बहुत तेज होते हैं क्वेश्चन सेटर्स. ऑलराइट, in these questions the meaning is given, the strong vocab is needed. Common question stems for these types of questions are, what does the author mean by this line? The word that can best substitute a given word in the passage is, the word or phrase implies. करना क्या, of course, I mean go back to the passage, read the context. So इसमें भी regress करना है, इसमें भी you have to revisit the passage. Make sure to find out any element of sarcasm or satire. पता चला इस तरह से कुछ author बोल रहा है where the author doesn't really mean what he or she is saying in quotations, and we mark the literal meaning, तो गलत हो जाएगा वहाँ पे. So understanding sarcasm is also important. The meaning must match the author's intention. These questions test your vocab, so make sure that you improve your vocab. All right. Another type, example-based questions. Example-based questions are the ones like, why has this been illustrated? Or the author has used this example in order to. तो यूजुअली उसका आंसर उस एग्जाम्पल को तो पढ़ोगे, पर उसके पहले जो सेंटेंसेस है यूजुअली उसमें आंसर मिलता है. Because generally the pattern is, when we use an example, first we mention the idea and then the example. That's the general pattern. I mean, of course, rare exceptions होते हैं, but I always say exceptions के साथ पढ़ाई नहीं होती है, rule के साथ पहले पढ़ लें. तो usually ये example क्यों दिया? The answer to that question comes somewhere before the example, because that's where the idea is given, the idea that is supported through the example. ठीक है? In these questions, you are asked to find out the reason behind a particular example. These are easy questions. The approach and method should remain the same as that in contextual meaning. Common question stems are, the author talks about this example in order to. The author gives the example in order to. The instance of XYZ has been mentioned in order to. The author has illustrated this in order to. All right. The author always gives example to back up maybe his main idea. Find the main idea, even that could help. But sometimes the author might give the example to back up a specific idea. Even that can happen. उसके अलावा लॉजिकल स्ट्रक्चर पे क्वेश्चंस होते हैं विच इज कम्प्लीटली क्रिटिकल रीजनिंग बेस्ड application questions, weaken the argument, strengthen the argument. Which of the options could be a parallel construction to the argument given in the passage? Some question on paradox, how to resolve paradox. ये सब हम critical reasoning में पढ़ते हैं. All those application questions, and of course tone पे तो we have a separate dedicated class, completely dedicated class. अब जैसे अगर आप ये पैसेज देखें, पैसेज तो छोटा सा है एंड of course if you have any doubts pertaining to the passage तो you can let me know in the live class. अब live class तो कल होगी. तो दो passages हैं. Let's do the second one. ये है आपका passage द जर्मन पोएट फिलोसोफर से शुरू हो रहा है. पहले क्वेश्चंस देखो कहीं कोई मेन आइडिया पे क्वेश्चन तो नहीं. From the passage it can be inferred. All right. तो ये तो भाई inference पे है. The tone of the passage. Instructive matlab author is giving us instructions, maybe teaching us something. Contemplative क्या होता है? Contemplative is when the author is thinking about something in a serious manner. ठीक है? Thinking about something in a serious manner. In a serious manner. Humorous तो आपको पता है funny. अब humorous में the author might be talking, the author might be thinking, कुछ भी हो सकता है. People might be interacting, कुछ भी हो सकता है, but it would have elements of humor. Envious is similar to jealous. टोन भी आपको प्रीडोमिनेंट देखना होता है. ये नहीं कि नैरो नहीं होना चाहिए. लाइक इफ देयर जस्ट वन इंस्टेंस ऑफ एनवी, जस्ट वन इंस्टेंस ऑफ जेलसी, बस एक, दैट वुड नॉट रियली मेक द ओवरऑल टोन ऑफ द पैसेज एनवियस, राइट? तो ये भी देखना है कि प्रीडोमिनेंटली क्या है. वी कैन इन्फर, देखो क्वेश्चन इन्फरेंस पे है. क्वेश्चन देखो, क्वेश्चन explicitly stated related नहीं है, it's inference. That by old from, the author is referring to whom? Again, it can be inferred that the author considers himself to be what? The option कह रहा है a person of little means. Little का मतलब होता है almost nothing, zero, no. And a little का मतलब होता है कुछ, थोड़ा. So a person of little means would be like a beggar, has nothing. A person of modest means would be like, थोड़ा बहुत है, maybe middle class है, थोड़ा बहुत है. Alright, so 23 भी वही है. Aristocrat is like belonging to maybe a royal family. Fabulously rich तो आपको पता ही है. As a child, the number of basic rules, तो keyword क्या है? Basic rules that the author was required to follow were. देखते हैं if we can count them or not. Or maybe when I come to this question, I'll go back to the rules part and see if we are able to figure it out or not. So now I guess it's time for us to read. So I'll give you 1 minute to read the slide and then I'll read it out aloud. इस तरह से करेंगे. Then I'll give you 1 minute to read the next slide. Then I'll read it out aloud so that you guys are clear on what you're reading. Alright, तो मैं timer शुरू करती हूँ और आपको 1 minute देती हूँ. All right, it's 1 minute. I'm sure you guys must have read it by now. तो अब मैं पढ़ती हूँ loudly. The German poet philosopher Goethe once said, "It is not the things that we do, but liking the things that we do, that we have to do, that makes life blessed." तो क्या कहा गोथ ने कि it's not the things that we do, as in जो हम काम करते हैं, that doesn't make life blessed. What makes life blessed? Liking the things that we do. तो अगर आपका काम है कि आप कोडिंग करते हो, तो that doesn't make your life blessed, but liking the fact that you do coding and enjoying your coding will make your life blessed, is what the German poet philosopher said. और ऑथर ने कोट किया है फिलोसोफर को. But then the author is saying, author को opinion देखिए, all right for Goethe, all right for him. But तो हमेशा ये जो आपके ट्रांजिशन वर्ड्स है ना, इन पे ध्यान देना, ट्रांजिशन वर्ड्स कंजंक्शंस पे. पर ऑथर का एटीट्यूड पर वाला आ गया. बट हाउ मेनी ऑफ अस लाइक डूइंग द थिंग्स वी हैव टू डू? आई मीन ठीक है, फिलोसोफर ने बोल दिया, फिलोसोफर के लिए ठीक है, पर हाउ मेनी ऑफ अस रियली लाइक टू डू लाइक द थिंग्स दैट वी डू? These are the things that one just cannot avoid doing in order to live, eat and make both ends meet. मतलब करना ही पड़ता है. As the cost of living and eating rises higher and higher. In short, to be known as respectable member of society, honored and obeyed by one's wife, and deserving of a glowing funeral ovation from one's friends. Author is using humor by exaggeration. क्योंकि ऑथर कह रहा है कि ठीक है, गोएथ ने तो बोल दिया, उसके लिए ठीक है, पर हम लोग, हमारे जैसे लोगों के लिए क्या कर सकते हैं? आई मीन, वी हैव टू डू थिंग्स, वी कांट अवॉइड डूइंग देम इफ यू हैव टू लिव, इफ यू हैव टू ईट, वी हैव टू मेक बोथ एंड्स मीट. मतलब अगर हमको घर चलाना है तो करना पड़ता है. इन शॉर्ट, अगर हम सोसाइटी के रिस्पेक्टेबल मेंबर बनना चाहते हैं, वी वांट टू बी नोन एज रिस्पेक्टेबल मेंबर्स, तो हमको करना पड़ता है. पर उसके आगे जो ऑथर ने लिखा है ना, इफ यू वांट टू बी ऑनर्ड एंड ओबेड बाय द वाइफ, इफ यू वांट a glowing funeral ovation. I mean, that's exaggeration. Glowing funeral ovation is like लोग खड़े होके आपके funeral में तालियां बजा रहे हैं, वाओ क्या बंदा था. यहाँ पे थोड़ा आया है, इसको कहते हैं, और honored and obeyed by one's wife in today's times. Who says that, right? So this is humor. Both the spellings are correct. Humor by exaggeration. पहले था जीने के लिए, उसके बाद तो जीने के लिए काम करना पड़ता है, फिर हो गया कि ताकि मरने के बाद हमारे लिए तालियां बजें, उसके लिए भी काम करना पड़ता है. That's humor by exaggeration. आगे देखिए. My own intense exaggeration मतलब ओवर स्टेटमेंट, चीजों को थोड़ा ज्यादा ही मैग्नीफाई करके दिखाना. Now the author is saying, my own intense dislike of things that I had to do began at an early age. Okay. Things that I had to do. My dislike of those things began at an early age. I had barely changed from shorts to long pants. अभी अभी तो short से long pants पहनना शुरू किया था. When I was told by my parents that to grow up to be a gentleman. मतलब अभी तो shorts पहन रहे थे, अभी तो लंबे pants पहनना शुरू किया और parents बताने लगे कि gentleman बनने के लिए तुमको क्या क्या करना चाहिए. Again, humor. Humor. I must observe to grow up to be a gentleman. I must observe certain rules. Among which were the following. देखो क्या लिखा है. Certain rules, कुछ rules. Among which were the following. तो आगे जो rules दिए हैं, were they the only rules that the author had to follow? No. He had to follow X number of rules, among which is your key here. That's the trap or the trick. Like if I say, I have read a lot of books, among which are, I have read a lot of books, among which are Emma by Jane Austen, Good Wives, Good Lives, Good Vibes, VIBES, Good Vibes, Good Life, right? How to Kill a Mockingbird. तो मैंने 3 नाम लिए, तो इसका मतलब ये हुआ मैंने 3 किताबें पढ़ी हैं? नहीं, I have read a lot of books, among which are the following. So these 3 are just examples of some books that I've read. तो वहाँ यहाँ पे भी लिखा है I must observe certain rules among which are the following. तो इसके आगे आप ये काउंट भी कर दोगे तो ये it won't give you the answer of the number of rules he had to follow. पूरे नंबर नहीं है, cannot be inferred. अब क्या क्या है? Always, ये कुछ एग्जाम्पल्स हैं. Always stand up when a lady, even your mother or grandmother, enters the room. Out of inborn respect, I did not mind doing this for them, but I resented, यानी hated, having to jump whenever an old from. उस पे भी question था, whenever an old from. I hated having to jump whenever an old from whom, for some inexplicable reason, as expected to address as auntie, visited our home. Always beg the pardon of the company assembled at dining table if you belch, if you burp, having consumed more of the dessert than was good for you. अब author कह रहा है, seeing nothing wrong in a perfectly natural reflex, that is burping or belching, I took to, I took to as in I got habituated to suppressing my dakar, suppressing my belches. And by the time I was 15, I could have given lessons in breath control to a yogi. मतलब डकार रोक रोक के वो इतना एक्सपर्ट हो गया कि कह रहा है कि 15 साल की उम्र में तक तो मैं एक योगी को भी सिखा सकता था कि ब्रेथ कंट्रोल कैसे करना है. ह्यूमर, आई मीन डकार रोक के कौन योगा सीखता है? दैट्स ह्यूमर. Always finish the day's homework given to you by your teacher before going to bed. This injunction followed me in later life, having been passed on by mother to my wife. It became my duty to see that the children did their lessons before going to sleep. ठीक है? तो क्या इतने ही रूल्स थे? नहीं. As made to follow certain rules, among which were the following. और ये काउंट भी कर दोगे तो आपको नहीं पता चलेगा कितने रूल्स, टोटल नंबर ऑफ रूल्स क्या थे. अभी तक तो नहीं आया है कहीं. So the answer to question number 24 is अभी तक के लिए. आगे चेंज होता है तो चेंज कर देंगे. काउंट करके फायदा नहीं है because it's written as made to follow certain rules among which were the following. तो वो certain number of rules कितने थे नहीं पता. Cannot be inferred from the passage. हाँ, आगे कहीं दिया है अगर नंबर तो हम चेंज कर देंगे अपना आंसर. Alright. Now I'll again give you 1 minute to go through this third slide. Second तो मैंने साथ में पढ़ लिया because those were again an extension of the first slide. They had examples. I mean, it had examples. Read this one, the third slide. Let me give you 1 minute for that. All right, आगे पढ़े. The result was that the homework thing, है ना? Was that my dreams were filled with weird algebraic symbols. With all due respect to Goethe, if you remember that's the name of the philosopher, I should like to say that a great deal of satisfaction can be obtained in life by liking things one does not have to do. Humor है. For instance, I do not have to leave my flat at 6:20 a.m. to drive my grandson to his school bus, half a kilometer from where I live. It would do him a lot of good to walk the distance, but I take the opportunity to stop at the block park on the way back, get out of my car, sit on a bench, swallow lungfuls of air, unmixed at that early hour with exhaust fumes. I'm then duly fortified to open the morning papers and read the grim headlines. Fortified is like I'm strengthened. And I'm not obliged to remain on friendly terms with some people who, 5 or 10 years ago, were as poor as I am. देखो कोई अगर कहे she is as poor as I am does not mean I am poor. हाँ? वो मेरे जितनी गरीब है का मतलब ये नहीं कि मैं सच में गरीब हूँ. It could be like I am middle class or she is at the same level. और she is as rich and as I am का भी मतलब ये नहीं होता कि मैं rich हूँ. It's just that she is at the same level as I am. तो देखते हैं ये सच में आदमी पुअर है क्या. अभी मतलब कार तो है इसके पास, ये तो क्लियर है. Okay. Who 5 or 10 years ago were as poor as I am, but since then have grown fabulously rich, owning houses in different names and changing their air-conditioned stereo-fitted cars every year. इतना rich नहीं है, मतलब fabulously rich नहीं है author. But I like to meet them occasionally sometimes, not only for the sumptuous food and drink they provide, but also to hear them talk of the number of VIPs with whom they are on intimate terms, close terms. They are not in the same class as Harshad Mehta or anywhere near him, but they make me laugh, especially when they belch and don't say sorry. Sarcasm, humor, reference to the past. Now, सबसे पहले क्या हमको आइडिया मिला एग्जैक्ट नंबर ऑफ रूल्स दैट ही वाज मेड टू फॉलो एज अ चाइल्ड? नो. 24 का आंसर डी है. It can be inferred that he considers himself to be royal? No. Fabulously rich? No. Dirt poor, like a beggar? Little means? No. Modest means? ठीक ठाक? Yes. D. 23 is D. ओवरऑल टोन ऑफ द पैसेज, क्या हमको ऑथर कुछ सिखा रहा है? नहीं. क्या वो बहुत सीरियस है? नहीं. सोच रहा है, बचपन की बातें याद कर रहा है, पर ये सब बोलना कि मैं ऐसा डकार लेता था, ऐसा डकार सप्रेस करता था, ये सब ह्यूमर है. सो इट्स नॉट सीरियस थॉट. हाँ, इट्स ह्यूमरस एंड एनवियस. बस अगर आप ये कह रहे हो कि उसके दोस्त फैबुलसली रिच हो गए, we don't see envy anywhere, and that would only be one instance, whereas humor is something we see in every paragraph. तो predominant humorous हुआ. Seriously नहीं सोच रहा है ये बातें. He is not serious about all those things. Question number 20 देखिए. From the passage it can be inferred that देखो, the author has read some works of Goethe. तो अगर मैं किसी फिलोसोफर को कोट करूं, इसका मतलब जरूरी नहीं है कि मैंने उसकी किताब पढ़ी है. शायद पढ़ी हो, शायद ना पढ़ी हो. Maybe you quote Mahatma Gandhi on something, but does that mean you have read his books? Maybe, may not be. Does he even write books? Or did he even write books? Maybe, may not be. No information. Right? Goethe was a poet philosopher, लिखा है passage में, but author उसको quote कर रहा है. जरूरी नहीं है कि author ने, हो सकता है देखा हो सकता है ना देखा हो, but the question is it can be inferred. So if you're marking, like that he has read some works, so you have to be sure he has read. We cannot be sure. He might have, he might not have. Second, the author does not agree with Goethe on pleasures of life. Yes, he does not agree. क्योंकि Goethe ने कहा कि what makes life blessed is liking the things that we have to do. But the author is saying, all right for him to say that, but doesn't happen with most of us. And the entire passage gives example how it's not easy to like things that we have to do, or how it doesn't happen. So yeah, he does not agree with the philosopher. The author is a student of yoga? No. He's not a student of yoga. Clearly not. तो आंसर क्या है? Option this. Only two. Only two कहाँ दिख रहा है? A में. So you have to mark A. Question 22 देखिए. We can infer that by old from the author is referring to. You look at the options. Old ladies he did not take to. He did not take to matlab he did not like. Old ladies he is expected to refer to as auntie. His mother, his grandmother, definitely not. His mother's elder sister, not mentioned. अब इन्फर क्या कर सकते हो ओल्ड फ्रॉम? आंटी वाला पार्ट तो लिटरली लिखा है ना. I did not mind doing, this for them as in mother and grandmother, but I hated having to jump whenever an old from whom I was expected to call as auntie. But the auntie thing is explicitly stated, so that's not your answer. So old from would definitely be people he did not like, women he did not like, but he was expected to call them auntie. But can I mark the auntie option? He was like, no, it's explicit. Question is infer. Question types देखा था ना? Inference मतलब you have to infer it. It is implied. It's not explicitly stated. Explicit मतलब लिखा हुआ है. Literally लिखा है तो वो इस क्वेश्चन का आंसर नहीं होगा क्योंकि क्वेश्चन पूछ रहा है आप इन्फर क्या कर सकते हो. So it's not beta, it's not B, it's A. Alright guys. तो ये थे हमारे questions from reading comprehension. There is one more passage but इस तरह से मैं नहीं कराऊंगी. लाइव में कराएंगे, राइट? लाइव क्लास में. अभी के लिए इतना ही रखते हैं. कुछ क्वेश्चन हो इसमें तो कल के लाइव क्लास में पूछ लीजिएगा. All right, and I told you about the plus and the iconic subscriptions. I will also mention the price points. By the way, my Telegram channel link is Shriti_cat. You can join us there. अच्छा, price points. Oh, पहले थे price points. Only. So if you're thinking of going for any structured coaching program, so you can consider plus subscription. 6 months is 16,400, 12 months is 22,550, 24 months is 32,800. शर्मा जी कोड यूज करना मत भूलिएगा, 10% ऑफ मिलेगा. अगर एनी फ्रेंड ऑफ योर्स इज थिंकिंग कि हाँ यार प्रॉपर कोचिंग करना है, उनको बोलिए अनअकैडमी से करें और शर्मा जी कोड यूज करें. आइकॉनिक के प्राइस पॉइंट्स है 39,500 फॉर 1 year एंड 59,999 फॉर 2 years. शर्मा जी कोड यूज करें और 10% ऑफ. ऑलराइट. उसके अलावा of course you can definitely take a feel by first going through our you know free classes, the free special classes, you know about them. Unacademy app download करके use शर्मा जी code again, unlock the free special classes, वहां से पढ़ना शुरू करो, then you can decide on the subscription. Alright guys, so I'll sign off for now and I'll see you tomorrow in the live class. Take care. Bye bye.